Hello, my little weirdos. I earlier put out a short. Um, Wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, but I've got a few moments before um, my brother-in-law picks me up. Going over there for the holiday. Um, and I just want to expound a little bit on be careful, as in most holidays that include like dinner, which would be drinking too. New Year's, Christmas, Easter, you don't see too much drinking type of stuff going on. But, you know, neither with Halloween in general, it's not known for it. But, now is coming the time that people are doing a lot of drinking. And not just for the holidays, apparently. I was watching some things, and people are the election results has, as everybody knows, has been breaking a lot of families apart, a lot of marriages apart. People are being disinvited because it's a family of progressives or liberals, and it's one thing. It's bad enough that the people that voted red are they're just always in your face about it. They just never shut the f up about anything, unless it's wrongdoing on their part, and then they can't wait to shut everybody up on it. But when there's drinking involved, it's just going to get worse. And for those of you that are having a mixed holiday, and by that I mean Republican as opposed to the Democrat, and up until now, politics a lot of times did not interfere. Because if you voted for a proposition or something like that, that somebody else, that you kind of voting against somebody that you care about, but you know, maybe that's, whatever. That's different than voting for an entire party and an entire president's administration filled with rapists, misogynists, criminals, drug users, drug abusers, women abusers. They don't care how many kids get mowed down in schools. While they're still, that's why they've noticed that they're not having as many. They don't have as many young white children. Well, maybe if you guys would make some serious firearm restrictions for civilians, maybe they wouldn't be getting mowed down and they'd be growing up. Maybe some of them would actually be Republicans. But nope, your guns are more important than your children. That's bad enough. But you're now putting all of those people that don't believe in vaccines, in charge of the health department. It kind of almost feels like to me, the thoughts come through a few times, that he's doing it deliberately. He's putting the worst people into the worst positions for that person. Because either that's everything they hate. Is 45 just angry because we all know he takes revenge as big as he can, or with his good words, as bigly as he can. And I'm wondering, after he got out of power in 2020, all of the world leaders were just, they were doing it kind of quietly, during it, but he is the president type of thing. However, once he was out of office, and the real Americans were able to thwart the attempted coup, because that is what it was, and it wasn't the real Americans doing the attacking. That was MAGA people. And maybe because all the world leaders pretty much, except Putin didn't do it to his face, mocked him, laughed at him, they snubbed him during the time. And I think maybe that might have been simmering a little bit. And then you add to it some other of his shit and the stuff that was said when he took he took responsibility for getting, that was his baby, getting Roe versus Wade overturned. There was a shift there. And unfortunately, I think America has progressed enough and been in existence long enough for us to have produced an incredibly large crop of generations that, between decimating the education system, especially over the last decade, and allowing Christianity to invade politics and school, which they were actually in the Constitution forbade to do in politics, that indoctrinates people, because Christianity teaches don't ask questions. At least every church that was Christian that I had gone to, they don't like you asking questions that contradict something that they teach, even if it's just a curious question. Can you please explain? They'll just say, do not believe anybody but what this Bible says, and we'll tell you what that thing says. This is the Bible. We'll tell you what. They don't even they just want you to read it with them on some verses. Other verses they quote in sermons and then just paraphrase and go right past it before, and they're on to something else and another scripture. They'll do that sometimes 2 and 3 in a row, so you don't have time to read the whole scripture, just the part he picked out. I've been there, I know. It's an indoctrination to just not bother learning it for yourself. Don't read it for yourself, just listen to what we're telling you. And I don't care if you're a Christian, a real Christian or not. You know that is what is taught. Most people's experience with it is don't question, just memorize and repeat it. Well, when you mix indoctrination mindsets, that doesn't just go for the religion. They get that mindset. It goes everywhere. It's the same kind of mindset that will bend to a cult. It's the same that'll bend to any lies if it's repeated enough times. They'll believe the lie because they hear it all the time, even if it's the same person telling it over and over and over, day after day. Well, I hear it because they don't bother. They were taught to be lazy. And no matter how much we spent time saying, please read it for yourself, read the actual document, here it is, right here, go to this, Earl. Don't, that's far too much work. And that doesn't mean that all of you, especially the ones that didn't vote for him the first 2 times, but did this time. You guys are probably the worst because you didn't believe him, but then you let yourself. So if you're feeling guilty, if you're on the progressive liberal side and you feel guilty a little bit, you feel badly, not necessarily guilty, you feel badly that maybe somebody was uninvited and that, what are they going to do, that kind of thing. Don't. Especially if this was the first time they voted for Trump. Don't feel badly. Because we have to make our boundaries for our peace. And the Republicans work on a thing of fear and repetition. Repeating it. There's always got to be somebody to be afraid of. Always somebody going to take something from you. always on the lookout, and that's a lot of projection, because if they think other people are always going to be that way, that's probably because they're that way and they hang around with people that are that way. So they think all of us are that way, but they're not. We're not. And you got fooled. Now, if you're one of those who, I don't care if you're a long time MAGA or if it was just this time that you voted for 45. And no, that was not a mistake. That was not a slip. Just saying his name before it made my mouth feel nasty. If you're one of the ones that has been disinvited, if you never learned this before and you're a voting age, you really should do a little bit to take your education in your own hands, because that is unbelievable that you don't understand why this election mattered so much. It's about how you felt in your deep, and I don't want to hear I just wanted cheaper eggs, blah blah blah, yeah, blah blah, because those were lies. And if you had done your research and done your homework before you tottered your ass into that voting booth, you would have known. It's called the consequences to your action, and that's a problem. Even in the justice system, people do not go and to court after committing crimes. They go to another state where they know there's unrest, underage, with your mommy, who drops you off with weapons, like large rifle weapons, and you get off scot-free. In fact, the judge calls you son during the trial. Completely unprofessional. That should have been a mistrial. You cannot be doing that. But no, because that area was just magnified. So there are consequences to your actions. Your little cult leader really hasn't gotten too many consequences for his actions in his lifetime, and especially the last 8 years. And so you think you're Teflon Don too, but you're not, and he's not either. And if he lives to finish his term, that's the end of his immunity. And those cases were dismissed without prejudice, which means that all of that entire case can be picked up anytime they want. They're just holding off sentencing him. They already got a conviction from a jury. The trial has been done before they were stopped for doing it, or before the laws were changed to protect 45. But that will not hold forever. We're in a dark time. You guys want to laugh. You think, crybabies. Again, you are very, very stubborn and very persistent. And it comes to a point where, and it's coming very fast, and for many people it's already passed, where you can't go after you see, we told you so again, and go crying and saying, we didn't know. Because we told you that before Roe versus Wade was going to be done, but you said that's impossible. We said that's what they're gearing up. Look, this is what they're doing in this state. This is what they've done with this state's courts. This is what they've done. They're all gearing up to do it. It'll be done. They're gonna do it. They keep saying they want to do it, and y'all kept saying they won't do it. They won't do it. It's been there 50 years. It's practically codified. What was that? Oh, they did that, didn't they? A few years back now, too, huh? Yeah, they did that. I'm sure somebody in your life has been affected by that, badly. We saw how that went. You don't get any more chances. So if you're alone because you voted the wrong way, which would be for the Republican side, that's why you're all alone. You're probably going to be alone for Christmas and probably New Year's. So, the little tears, the crying wolf, this was that last time. You can't say I didn't know. You can't say, oh, I thought this. Nope. It's, and you know what? It doesn't matter if you like it or not. You cannot force them to have you at their holidays. Fuck around and find out. So, I hope you find some way to have a nice holiday. Just don't go getting drunk and being stupid and taking your revenge out. Because the only person it seems to really have worked for are people that he wants to help. It's not even working out for himself. Not anymore. And it all piles up on you when you're an old, sad man. So, goes to prison in January. Goes to prison in 4 years in January. That's fine. The courts will still be there, I promise you that. They're not going to be all like the Supreme Court either. Oh, did we mention Joe Biden now surpassed how many judges were appointed in his term? Far more than Donald Trump's. And I mentioned that name because he held that record. So, on the way out the door, Joe said, "Don't let any toilet paper stick to your shoe. See ya." Happy Thanksgiving.